wanna get high, man?
Let's stimulate your mind.
Get up, Chucky!
What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rojan Kim.
Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kim cast. It's me, Rojan Kim. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode 217. 217. Okay, so I made it from Denver to LA, drove back, 15-hour drive. I've done this drive about 6 times now, or meaning 3 round trips, so 6, yeah, it's like about 1,000 miles each way. No, maybe 1,000 miles total. Yeah, it's fine. You know what? It's a beautiful country. It's fine. So Denver was experiencing a surge in cases, just like the entire country, and they limited indoor dining. No more indoor dining in Denver. You can eat in the cold, which people were doing. I was actually surprised how many people were just bundled up in blankets, just shivering and eating burgers outside. It can't be good for you. That can't be good for you, right? So everybody's gone and bought the heat lamps and whatever, just like LA did, California did. Everybody is doing outdoor dining, heat lamps everywhere, and now they shut down outdoor dining. Outdoor dining shut. Cases are surging. Gavin Newsom said the hospitals are being overwhelmed. Hospitals are being overwhelmed. If you look at the data, if you actually look at the hospital data, the utilization rate is not that different from years past, meaning this is the rate they actually kind of keep it at. Hospitals are actually running on a for-profit model, so you actually need to be at capacity to be profitable. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of hospitals lost money during the pandemic, is because they were forced to stop elective surgeries and forced to clear their beds to make room for COVID surge that didn't actually happen. But now here we are again. Look at the numbers. The numbers are presented. You can just Google hospital, just don't look at a news article, just look at some graphs about what the surge capacity is. Also, look up dynamic surge capacity, which every hospital is supposed to have, up to 125%. But this isn't funny. How do I make this funny? I mean, this is, of course, the struggle I'm having with this podcast is like, so I'm taking in on all this information. Okay, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about sort of fear-mongering over a rise in cases. Every day, the news has a red number that's going up. Click, 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 up. And it's case numbers. They're not showing death numbers. They're showing case numbers, all right? Bunch of cases, right? They're not showing you that deaths are holding steady while cases are rising, which actually means the death rate is going down. They're telling you that because that would be, I guess, not scary. They want to scare you, I guess. I mean, maybe that's why they're fucking giving out Amber Alerts for COVID, for nothing. It was like, it's not even that somebody has COVID around you, which might be useful, like a contact tracing thing, which I'm against, but I could see the logic for. This is just a general blast that, like, COVID cases are surging. Like, we know we're stuck at home. And everybody, and there's just news on telling us that, like, you don't know, you need our phones to tell us too. Why don't you just tell us every time somebody dies? Just anybody, anywhere. Just like, in the entire world, 100,000 people die every day. Okay? How about your phone just goes off 100,000 times? Okay. How about every fucking minute or something, there's a goddamn alert that goes off that just says, like, some kid got run over by a car in Bangladesh. Like, geez, right? In Chicago, a teenage youth was shot. I guess in America, they'd be like, a black teen was shot by a white man. Or if he was 2 black people shooting each other, then it's just a black teen was shot. But you got to specify that if they're ever killed by a white person, you got, every time a white person kills a black person, the alert goes off. Okay, not just black people. Every time a white person kills an Asian too, and a black, only Asians and blacks. Okay, that's it. I'm taking it to 20th century war. We're not going to include anybody past 9/11, okay? It's just too complicated. Do you know how many, there's too many sects and factions. You got your Al-Nusra Front, you got your Al-Qaeda, you got your fucking ISIS, you got your, you know what I mean? You got, you got Baathists, you got fucking Hashemites, you got fucking, Jesus Christ. Did anybody know this before going in this? Fucking, it's a goddamn, I don't know, it's like a wasp's nest, you know what I mean? It's a quagmire. Well, Quagmire's Vietnam. Korea's forgotten. It's a dirty, brutal, forgotten war. except they brought out Gook. That's what came out. Gook. Yeah, I'm gonna just say that's where it came out from, or at least the guys who called the Gooks in Vietnam probably learned it from the guys who called Gooks in Korea. Okay, also called Hanguk. So I don't know. Logically, to me, it makes sense. Apparently, they were calling Nicaraguans Gooks in the century prior, but you know what? We're segregating the centuries. Centuries are segregated. All right. Okay. Maybe every time I should get a little alert every time I tell a good joke. You know, I mean, what if I got a little? Okay, I don't know. I would have not getting an alert right now. I would know that joke was not quite good. I got to work on it, right? And that's fine. So I don't know. So I'm back in LA. LA shut down. Outdoor dining. I got to eat once before they fucking shut. I had to eat once inside on my birthday, and then I got to eat again outside at a sushi restaurant before they shut down fucking outside. But then that was in Beverly Hills, so Beverly Hills has come out and said, you know what, we're not going to fucking shut down outdoor dining. Pasadena's come out and said it. There's counties coming out individually saying that they're not going to shut it down. Individual county sheriffs are also saying we're not going to shut down restaurant. We're not going to shut down small businesses. We're going to go after super spreaders or whatever. I don't know. I guess they're picking and choosing their authoritarian duties, and that's the hope we have. The hope we have in this world is that the authoritarians are picking and choosing which things to hold over the people. So that's good for us. Yay! That's our hope. That it's out of laziness or principle. People are saying, I'm not going to do that, but I will do this. You know, I will like the sheriff of LA said, I'm not going to shut down small businesses, but I am shutting down super spreader parties of rich people. So he's going around shutting down like underground raves and stuff, which I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I don't think anything should be shut down. Okay. I don't think you could pass public policy, public health policy and all of that, but not at the expense of liberty and the economy, people's livelihoods and psychology, which is what's been going on for 9 months now. So like a whole baby could have grown in this time, the pandemic. You know what I mean? Pandemic gestation period. What a fucking weird baby that would be. Imagine if a baby actually learned from its environment. This is a stressful environment. I bet there's a lot of warrior babies coming. Supposedly, stressful environments create warrior babies that are stronger, fitter, genetically prone to be more physically fit and violent and whatnot to survive. It's not a racial. You're the racist, not me. All right. So I don't know. The whole thing. I'm just like, okay. Let's just think about everything logically. First of all, this is not funny, but I'm just thinking about things logically. All right. So let's just say hypothetically, look, I have an uncle. Okay, he's a hypochondriac, and this is like a dream come true. This is a dream come true for hypochondriacs, right? This is like, I told you. They're like, I told you. This is what I've been training for my entire life. I told you. Now I'm right and you're wrong, right? Now I get to say who's and so for instance, my uncle, he lives with his two sons, and he lets one in the house, but not the other, right? Because one, I guess, is somehow more virulent than whatever. It's just personal. It's tyranny, right? It's petty tyranny disguised as public health or health policy, like some understanding of health, but it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense per se. Okay, like for instance, you go on. I talked about the rise in cases versus the deaths. Right, using cases as a metric is not something that's ever really been done before. Also, if you're like, okay, so if my uncle, say he hurt himself, like just fell, right? Say if my uncle fell, and then we decided, we should take him to the hospital and check him out. And while he's there, they give him a COVID test and he tests positive. Now it's like he's got corona. He's got it, right? So we gotta take him to the house. Now we gotta quarantine everything. But the whole thing is like, that's not why we took him there. We didn't take him to the hospital because, he had corona symptoms. We took him there because, he hurt himself. But that's what's happening right now with people. You go in, they give you a test, you might come out positive. It's like, okay, all right, but are you sick? That's really the real metric. So there's countries, take for instance South Korea. South Korea has been testing everybody like crazy, everybody asymptomatic, everybody making sure there's everybody. Okay. Meanwhile, Taiwan Hasn't. They did sort of a lockdown. Now everybody wears masks, but but they're not going around crazily testing anybody. They're just making sure no one's sick. Japan, similar. Okay. Basically, very different ways of treating the disease. However, very similar outcomes. In fact, right now they're kind of going through a spike in cases, almost as if it's seasonal. So they're going through a spike in cases. I mean, supposedly they did everything right. Taiwan, they always point to Taiwan. Look at this country. The country, Taiwan, has this many, has almost the same population density as the United States, but why? They don't have barely any cases. Why? They did everything right. Now they're getting a rise in cases. Does that mean they're doing something wrong? Of course it means that people have been lax. Of course it means that people have been, that's the logic. So the logic is assuming that the precautions we're taking work 100%, and any evidence to the contrary just means that people aren't following those precautions. But you see the lapse in logic there. You're begging the question, right? You're assuming the conclusion that this is what instead of being like, hey, maybe this is evidence that it doesn't work. How about that? How about if we've been locked down, everybody's wearing masks, all that, if that stuff worked, why isn't it working? Maybe it doesn't work. All right. Consider that maybe in Asia, for instance, like Taiwan. Taiwan is an island. Perhaps that makes a difference, right? South Korea is also a peninsula, is locked down from the top. It's like it's not easy to get into. Also consider prior immunity, right? Because look at Japan. Japan has an incredibly old population. Maybe they should be all dead. They should all be dead, but they're not, right? So sure, maybe their mitigation worked, but perhaps there is some kind of prior immunity. Perhaps. We don't know. This is the whole thing's new. It might explain some things, right? But that's not the accepted narrative. And so for some reason, there's like a narrative being pushed, right? The whole narrative here, I'm like, how is this funny? How is it funny that the news and the government and the corporations are all lying to us, or not lying? I guess they're misleading us. They're making us, they may be misled themselves. Maybe they believe that there is a real crisis going on, and they believe this is the right thing to do, shut down the entire economy, shut down specifically small businesses, but leave the big businesses open. Like Walmart stays open, shopping malls stay open, but you restaurants close, you close restaurants, movie production, go on, it's fine. You guys are, and then online there is like this woman who had a bar in Sherman Oaks, and she was crying because they shut down her place. She bought heat lamps and all this shit, and they're shutting her down. Right next to her, they set up a fucking whole company of it was like a set film crew. I used to work on film crews. It looked like lunch, right? It was just a bunch of tables and chairs set up with tents. Not socially, whatever. Just normally, it's like at least for fucking 100 people. And she's like, how is this okay? And it's not okay. And a lot of people chimed in going, what she doesn't understand is that movie sets are highly controlled and this and that and that. And it's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. That's like such bootlicking behavior. Because just think about it. You're just how do you know? Like, you're just assuming like, oh, no, they do everything correct and right. And she's not doing things correct and right, so she should be shut down and they shouldn't. Without thinking for a second, what does that translate into? Money. Oh, you mean one side has more money and they can do all this stuff that's okay and approved, and meanwhile this side that doesn't have money, that's much smaller. Plus, there's no data showing that COVID is actually spread in this environment, especially outdoors, considering she's very low on the threat scale. Why is she shut down? Why is she being punished, right? For not being able to test everybody and not being able to do this and this, all these measures and metrics that were basically created ad hoc. Previously, if you were just thinking about any other disease, measles, anything else, okay? What's the metric? The metric is, are you sick? The metric is, are you sick? That's because when you're sick is when you're contagious. When you're sick is when you know you have it. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily matter that you test positive. Every disease you've ever had is inside your body. Your body's constantly fighting off microbes. We have an immune system. They're everywhere. There's no way to stop microbes. They're everywhere. Okay? Your immune system is what fights them off, and once in a while it loses the battle and then you get sick, right? And then that virus starts to replicate, take over, whatever. You get sick. But just because you have fragments of the virus inside of you doesn't mean you're sick. It doesn't mean you're contagious. It means you have fragments of the virus inside of you, which is not a thing we usually test for because it's just noise. It's noise data. Doesn't necessarily mean that person will get sick, or it's just like, it's not a thing you look for. You understand? It's like if you're trying to look for fire instead of looking for smoke, what you were testing for was flammable materials. That's all you were testing for. Like, is this stuff flammable? Is this stuff flammable? It's like everything's flammable, but where's the smoke? Okay, where's that actually? You could be looking for flammable stuff over here and be missing the smoke over there. You understand? And then you add all this data, all these data points. You'd be like, oh man, I found all this stuff that's flammable. So look at the rise in flammable cases of flammability. Look at the rise of it. It keeps going up and up. Meanwhile, you're like, yeah, but how many burns? How many deaths? It's around the same. I don't know. We don't know. Think about this. Hospitals are for profit mostly, right? Since we don't have a lot of state hospitals, right? We don't have healthcare. We don't have socialized healthcare. So obviously hospitals, private. Great. That's why a lot of us don't have healthcare and can't afford it. Great. How do these hospitals make money? Well, they need patients. So they got to fill up them beds, right? Yeah. They got to fill up the beds. It's kind of like a restaurant. Restaurant is kind of designed to fill up a certain amount of seats. They need to fill up those seats continuously. The math they do in their head is like, we got to fill up these seats continuously all week in order to make a certain nut, right? I mean, each table, each patron is money toward their bottom line, right? Toward making sure they could stay open. Most hospitals barely stay open, and most restaurants barely stay open because they have to, right? They have to keep up with a certain amount of capacity in order to be profitable. So during the pandemic, what's happened? Restaurants, hospitals have lost profitability, gone down. Now, could this be, now it's not a nefarious thing, but I'm saying opportunistically, just like small businesses are being decimated, and then who's taking over? The Amazons, the Targets, the Walmarts, the big corporations are able to survive this and then take over their competition, essentially. I'm wondering if hospitals are similar, since hospitals are for profit, does this mean like, those mom and pop hospitals are basically, in decline? They're basically being run out, right? Because they're being told to make room for COVID, and then they don't have COVID cases. They're not surging. They would love to be. Are you kidding me? They would love to be surging. They would love it. They'd be making money hand over fist. You understand there's 125% dynamic surge capacity that they're not talking about? Why is 85% suddenly a metric when typically hospitals are kept over 90% in order to be profitable? What? Questions. These are all questions. And this isn't like conspiratorial. I'm not like, you can literally go look up. I sound like I'm becoming Asian Alex Jones. You can go look it up, folks. It's right there. It's on the Google. You look it up. It's there. All right. Another thing is that, remember that Johns Hopkins study that showed that was no change in deaths year over year, even factoring in COVID, because for some reason flu and heart disease and cancer went down all of a sudden? Does it have something to do with the fact about when people go into the hospital, they're just automatically tested for COVID? And then if you have it, you're listed as a case. And if you die with it, you're listed as a death. Does that have anything to do with it? Because, there are more studies that have been coming out, studies that have been taking all the deaths and separating out those that died with COVID and those that died of COVID. When you do that, it turns out it's like half. The picture comes down to a very, what's half of what we're at now? 300,000, so it'd be like 150,000 or something. It'd be like twice the level of the flu or whatever, but not. This isn't funny. How is it fun? Let's see. The government is misleading us, using numbers, and waving them in front of our face and not letting people who tell the truth have a voice. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. It's hard to be funny. Maybe that's what it is. It's hard to be funny. Maybe I'm just bad at being funny. That's the other thing. Really what it is I shouldn't be funny. I shouldn't really be trying to be funny. I mean, I'm not. Why am I even talking about it? Just because I think that's funny. Okay. So why is all this happening? Why? See, look at the deaths. Look, just check out deaths year over year in other countries too. Year over year, not much of a change. So what's going on? Also look at just the idea of masks. Masks work. Then why is it that every place there's a mask mandate, with high mask compliance cases are still going up. Why is that? And how do masks work? Let me ask you that. What is the idea? The idea is that you catch viral particles inside water droplets that are exhaled, right? And of course, those droplets only go through the mask, and nothing else happens to them. They all just collect in the mask, right? They don't fog up your glasses. They don't fog, right? That doesn't happen. I mean, it does. It does. I don't know, but it doesn't. It doesn't, right? It doesn't fog up your glass, and then it does it, and then it doesn't go straight through because you can't breathe in a mask, right? Oh no, you can breathe in a mask. So air is going in and out, but somehow all the moisture is being caught by the mask. Did you know that? Isn't that become a breeding ground for disease? A moist mask. Yeah, like no, the air dries it out. The air dries it out, so it's porous, so the air goes through in and out. So essentially, you're aerosoling the droplets. The air is pushing the droplets in and out and turning them into tinier droplets, and so you're actually spreading the droplets more. Is that what's happening? I mean, it's got to be one or the other. It's got to either be the most virulent thing. It's catching all the viruses somehow on your face, and you're just keeping that by your face, which seems to be the most unhealthy thing in the world. Then you discard it. And even if you discard it in the trash can, eventually the masks are going to end up somewhere and getting all wet and breeding more disease. So there's just viral biohazards everywhere. Otherwise, no, they're dying. They're dying because, they evaporate in the air. Oh, okay, so then if you take your mask off and breathe outside, I'm talking about outside, okay, and it's just in the open air, doesn't that cause evaporation faster than a cloth thing might? Right? I mean, isn't the premise of the mask that you're indoors, maybe in a tight situation with vulnerable people, and that's why you have the mask on? In that very situation, a very sterile area where you can regularly change your mask over and over after every encounter, as opposed to the way it is now, where you just have a mask and you're in the world and you're just assuming that the mask works, and then that kind of cuts down on social distancing. You think if you're wearing a mask and that person's wearing a mask, we're safe, so you get by that person. When in fact, it's probably not. Doesn't the air escape through the sides to the top? Even if you're wearing that face shield, it's not a fucking sealed. It's not sealed, so the air is still going somewhere. Air. I saw this thing that the governor of Illinois put out, and it was put out by the Korean Medical Journal. And I was like, fuck. And the Korean Medical Journal said they had this study of contact tracing where they went to a restaurant and somebody came in and it showed like their breath line, like as a laser beam, and it's like it infected this person and then it infected this, and it was just like, that's not, your breath isn't laser. It's not a laser. It doesn't just shoot straight without it going. It dissipates. Do you not? How is this a science? Koreans, and that's when I knew they were compromised. Koreans with a K, compromised with a K. Okay? Knew it. It's like, fuck, they got the Koreans. They got them. All right? I don't know who they are, but they got them. All right? Why are they passing this? That doesn't make any sense. Your breath does not. Haven't you ever smelled smoke from, a neighboring place? It's not people blowing smoke directly at you. Smoke rises, it dissipates. This is not. Well, this is the funny thing is like people, I guess, you can override people's intellect by using fear. I put up this video of all these Aussies who tricked this woman who was a scientist. And some people say, well, she was still a woman, and that may be true, but that's neither here nor there. Any regular person could have been fooled too by lots of people have been trolled by Aussies about drop bears. Okay, so they got the scientist holding koala, and she's in full body armor, full protection, full gear, full everything. And then they told her that it's a drop bear and it's dangerous, and she's so scared. She's holding it, and it's just and it isn't to the end when she hands it over to a guy and he's got no protection on, and she just looks at him, and they're all laughing that it clicks to her that she's fucking playing a gag on her, and I feel like that's us right now, right? Our intellect is being overridden by fear. That's a perfect hack. It's a perfect that would have been a great sound bite. It would have been a good clip for The Social if I didn't fuck it up. But it's the perfect hack of our higher cerebral cortex to target the lizard brain, right? The fear center. I'm Alex Jones again. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay? Great reset. That's why. All right. That's why. They're digitizing everything. That's Whitney Webb, Alex Jones. All right. I guess, what do you need to hear this from me for, right? There's people much better than I telling you about it, but it just seems to me as a guy, I don't make any money This costs me time and money. So I'm losing. I could be talking about anything else. I could be just disgustingly self-promoting something, or I don't know, doing something that is probably more lucrative. I could be telling you all to buy Palantir stock, buy it. It's on the dip, buy it, buy it. Don't listen to the meme lords, buy it. Sell it. I don't know. I don't take any stock advice from me. Bitcoin is crashing. I'm still, it doesn't matter. I don't have any money. So any money I lose is so little money that it's not, it doesn't, and it's not even real money. It's just money given to me by the government. It doesn't matter. Anyways, the Great Reset. How do we make the Great Reset funny? Maybe that's really what's hilarious about major corporations squeezing out the small businesses, medium-sized businesses, buying them out, voraciously sucking up all the resources, putting them out of business, taking the bottom out of the middle class, so everybody just tumbles down, creating a sort of new neo-feudal society where you have a giant pyramid of poors on the bottom. You got this sort of professional class that's much smaller on top, and then a very, very small amount of wealthy technocracy or whatever, controlling everything, running government, running business, running monetary policy, just a lot of technocrats doing everything, and that seems to be what's coming. Everything's digital. You get a digitized currency, everything is so you can be tracked. Every single transaction is tracked. No more cash, right? No ownership of cars, so that you can be tracked. Everything's under the name of surveillance, and that surveillance also leads to data collection, which could have nefarious ends, but also is just used to sell you stuff, right? To kind of keep this consumer culture going, make it easier to spend, make it easier to track your spending, tax all that stuff. The government wants a piece of it all. The vaccine, make a vaccine. You got to create biometric marker to travel. You got a little thing, little tattoo, a little something. Boop. And it's like, you're clear. It's just like a TSA thing. It's like the TSA. And then they got that. You could just buy your way through the safe check, right? You pay extra money. You go through the shorter line. You could probably do the same thing with the vaccine or whatever, right? Everybody has to stay in line. You could be like, okay, if you don't have the vaccine, stay in line. Here's the vaccine line, which is much shorter. And even shorter than that is like the fast pass line, the fast biopass line, right? You're biometrically cleared to not be a threat, And maybe soon you'll be psychologically cleared to not be a threat, right? Maybe soon they'll have Amber Alerts for bad thoughts. How about that? How about instead of every time there's a rise in COVID cases or whatever, it's like whoever has a bad thought, like a racist or a transphobic or whatever a bad thought is, okay? Somebody says something bad about AOC, right? So she's a crazy bitch. Anytime the alert goes off, beep, somebody just called AOC a crazy bitch. It was your neighbor. Go stone him. Go throw rocks at him now. Or I don't know if it would tell you to do that, but I'm just riffing here, okay? But how about that? How about a little alert? Wouldn't you like to? Isn't it important to know if thoughts, if words are violence and thoughts lead to words, shouldn't we know all the bad thoughts that are going on? Shouldn't we be alerted to every single bad thought that occurs in humankind? Wouldn't that be paradise? Wouldn't we be truly safe then? Ooh. I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would kill themselves just like they are now, just like the rise in suicide going up now. Suicides have gone up like 100% or something. I don't know. Who cares? It's not high enough. That's what I say. There's not enough people dying. It just doesn't seem like they're saying there's all this death, but it's the same amount of people who've died since last year. So it's not impressive. I need to be more impressed. Okay? None of this is, the only thing that's really impressive is if China really fucking rigged this whole thing, and that's pretty sweet. Okay, it kind of makes sense. Trump pissed off China with the whole tariff trade with China, all that, like fucking pissed him off. Fucking had a pandemic thing. Fucking, China is like central to the economy. Shut that down. Fucking infiltrate the Democrats. Like there's this whole news story going on about Fang, fucking, what's his name? Stalwell in California. Fucking a couple other Midwestern mayors. Fucking just fanging her way. Chitty, fanging her way through fucking town. Fucking getting the CCP's business done. Doing the dirty to get it done. For the country, for her country. I mean, that's a patriot. Look, listen, who's doing that for us? How about someone do that how about someone rig everything for us, huh? It's, of course, these are the only two games in town, us and them. So I say fair play China, right? But on the other hand, Got to recognize that, you don't want to be like the Chinese. America's better. Like, okay, it is. You don't want to be, trust me. I've been there and it's pretty free. I'll give you that, but it's also gross and scary. And so, you don't want to be under one party rule. Okay. As a person whose family escaped from commies, it's just not a thing I would like to happen to the country. Just wouldn't like that. Anyways, this is a new show. This is a new show now. This is like I'm like I'm an imitation Asian Alex Jones. Maybe I'm a little milder in my rhetoric. I don't have all the documents. I'm like an uninformed, I'm like a low information Alex Jones. That's what low information Alex Jones. Is that that might be my title. All right, that's me. All right, fine, fuck it. I'm going to lean in. Well, okay. This story kind of got my attention. Is the story of this woman, Rebecca Jones, who the narrative, the sort of dominant narrative, is that she was a scientist that was working on the COVID-19 dashboard in Florida, and she was fired. She was let go. She was fired because she was refusing to post or to manipulate data. The governor, DeSantis, is a criminal, right? Because he's opened up the country. And for some reason there aren't as many deaths. Hospitalizations are lower than California. Cases are lower than California. California's doing way worse despite doing all the lockdown stuff. And of course, people are saying, well, the reason California's cases and everything's going up is because people aren't listening. And the reason why Florida's looks like it's doing well is because they're juking the stats. And that's so, there you go again. It's begging the question, right? It's a lot of just assuming the conclusion. Oh, pause for this. It's a lot of begging the question, assuming the conclusion that the lockdown works, right? And if the cases are going up, the lockdown, it's not that the lockdowns don't work, it's that people aren't listening. And if you look at a place where they didn't lock down and the cases aren't as bad as a place that did lock down, you say they're obviously juking the stats. Because that doesn't reflect the reality that I had in my mind. Instead of saying, oh, perhaps I'm wrong in my conclusion, which is actual science. See, science isn't like I believe something and if then I see evidence to the contrary, I deny it and accuse whoever that is of nefarious ends. Like that's not science. The whole point of science is that it is checked. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Well, let's take a look at that and see and test what I thought, my hypothesis, and then I'll see if it's right or wrong, right? Because otherwise, where are we? We're just arguing with each other and pointing fingers and not using logic at that point. It's just all emotional. You're like, I don't believe what you're saying. You must be lying. So anyways, Rebecca Jones. I looked into this case, and most of the mainstream media paints the picture as she's a data scientist. She's fighting against the evil Republican governor who's opening things. And then he told her to juke the stats. And she was like, I will not juke the stats. The people need to know. And they just juke the stats. And no. And she got fired. And then she got on the news. She set up a GoFundMe. She got fucking, now she has her own dashboard and whatever, right? And then just a couple days ago, she put out this tweet of cops coming into her house, and then one of them draws a gun as they're coming in, and she's like, "Don't point a gun at my kids!" And she's like yelling, but you can't really see the cops doing that. You just see them coming in. But the picture is painted that what happened is the Nazi governor of Florida, who's opened up its state, killing people left and right, and then hiding all those numbers, has sent a Gestapo to her house to stop her from telling the truth. She's trying to get the truth out there, and they're stopping her, and they raided her and took her computers and stuff, and this is an attempt to stop her and silence her, and that's why she went on to CNN that very same night, because she's being silenced, and told the world about it, and then raised over $100,000 on GoFundMe after that, because you need her computer cost $100,000. That's why. And so yeah, I don't know, it smells like Jussie to me, you know what I'm saying? What's I had Jussie's girl. I mean, it just smells like it smells like Jussie Smollett. You know what I mean? It smells fake. So I looked into it. I looked into it. I tried to look for an article that actually told me what it isn't trying to tell me what the story is, but actually tell me what happened. So turns out she's not a data scientist or an epidemiologist. She's a geologist who's working on. She's one of the team members on the dashboard. She's not the architect of the dashboard. She didn't make it up. She was just like, she was hired to put numbers, honestly, put numbers in Excel onto a spreadsheet. Just put these numbers there. And so at first, what Florida and what other states do is what they would do is they would add, instead of reporting just the new cases for every day, the number they would put is like the total cases, so the old cases plus the new cases, right? So it's like a bigger number, every day. And then they decided, okay, we're not going to post that. The number we're going to use is the number, how much it goes up every day. So it's a much smaller number, right? It's not the bigger number. And she said, no, I don't want to do that. And they were like, you work for us, you should do that. She was like, no, and then they fired her. They fired her because she was insubordinate for past. She has a record. Okay, let's just say that she has a record of being a rabble rouser. So that doesn't necessarily prove one thing or another, but it does show that, okay, the story about her being the architect is not true. She's not a data scientist. That's not true. She's a geographer. Okay, that's fine. She wasn't told to change or manipulate data. She wasn't told that the data is accurate. It's just she disagreed with the metric. She disagreed with it, but I don't know. I mean, that's why you go and do your own thing. Great. And that's what she's doing. All right. So that's what happened. That's why she got fired. Then the reason the cops came to her house is because they found out that somebody had infiltrated like one of the state databases and then used it was like a listserv in there to send out texts urging people to like whistleblow against the governor, to rise up against the governor. And then they traced the IP to her home. So they have no proof that she did it, but they need to now take her computer to see if she used her computer to log into the thing. I mean, she might still have the credentials or whatever to log in to the whatever the state health board thingy is to get all those numbers and then start texting people to try to get them to rise up against the governor. So that is possibly a crime. So that's the reason they came. And then apparently it took her 20 minutes to open the door. She wouldn't open the door for 20 minutes. They talked to her on the phone for 20 minutes. Basically, she created a situation that escalated, okay, put the camera there, opened the door, and then started yelling about don't point guns at my kids, even though the kids weren't there. Not on the camera. You know what I mean? She's yelling a story that everybody ran with, but we don't know if that's happening. It's kind of improbable to me that the cops would come in and point guns at the kids while they saw a camera. I don't know. Or whatever. Maybe they did. But it doesn't matter. The whole point is they thought she was dangerous because she took so long to come in. She took so long to open the door. Just open the fucking door. All right. What am I, a pro-cop now? What are you, pro-cop? What are you, pro-Republican? Pro-Florida? I don't know. It's just, I just don't think it's healthy to just operate with the assumption that if something doesn't pan out with the way you thought it was, they must be lying. Right? They must be not following orders. They must be doing that. Because that to me seems like being a bootlicker. Okay? That seems to me you're following order. Or that's what the man said. The man said that the reason why the cases are going up is because people aren't listening. And that's what, I mean, come on. Really? You don't think it's evidence? You don't think it's evidence to the contrary of the narrative people are telling us? I don't know. Listen, so I just think with like, this Rebecca Jones lady, it's very similar to all these like healthcare workers who are like tweeting out, and putting up on social media is like, I've spent 12 hours intubating grandmothers, and I had to run a line. I had to run a tube down the throat of my high school teacher, that feel when you have to intubate your high school gym teacher who voted Trump. And you still tried to save his life, and you were like, and I was like, clear, oh God, and and it's so hard, and they're posting pictures of themselves with like marks on their faces after a long shift, and they're all like, look at me, how tired I am. And it's just like, come on, man, oh Jesus Christ, this is what didn't you sign up for this? What is this fucking narcissistic bullshit? Okay. Yeah, they're healthcare work. I get it. They're healthcare. But that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. If there's a fucking giant, If a meteor landed and a bunch of people fucking got squashed and died, you'd have to fucking go out there to clean up the mess or help people. That's what you're. And then what you're gonna fucking. So now you get to like post stuff and just be like, look at me, look, and then everybody gets to share that and be like, look at him, look at him. And I fucking bet you they're all Jussies. You know what I'm saying? They're all Jussies. It's a Jussie Riot, goddamn it. It's a goddamn Jussie Riot. Okay? I'm telling you, they're all narcissists. There's a study that came out that said that like essential workers tend to be narcissistic. Okay? Or narcissists love being essential workers because they get to post about it all the time. You know, because they get to be righteous and narcissistic. And it's okay. And then they get the fucking likes for it too. Okay? So I definitely think that a lot of these stories you're seeing online, anecdotal stories of healthcare workers, I bet they're bullshit. They're just people making it up. I don't know. For what end? I don't know. I mean, for attention, for one. Why does anybody do anything? First of all, for attention. The other reason, to take down the United States government. I don't know. To take down the United States hegemony as the number one economic power in the world. Okay? Maybe that. I don't know. I'm not saying. I don't put it past the Chinese. I don't put it past them. I don't put it past the Koreans to fall in line with the New World Order. The Asians. People point to Asia as like, oh, these are the people who did it right. We should do things like Asia. We should. And as an Asian who grew up in America, I'm like, no, you don't want that. Okay, you don't want that, guys. You guys think you don't. You are very bad Asians. Okay, you will not compete. You cannot compete on that. You can barely compete now in college. Look at the colleges. Look at them. You made that. Okay? If there's systemic racism, you made that. Fucking Asians have hacked it. Then there's no systemic racism anymore. We were fucking, right? We won that racism. Okay? All right. That was probably not worth it. But anyways, seems like, to me, we got a bunch of narcissists and hypocrites gaslighting us. That's what it seems like. All right, here I go. Crazy man. But that's what it seems like to me. Okay? We're being gaslit. Look at the YouTube censorship thing that came out about you're not allowed to put up any election fraud videos or any videos contesting the election. It's not even done. The shit isn't done until the 6th of January. Okay? There's the Electoral College that votes on the 14th, and then Congress certifies the results or looks at the certified results and then makes a declaration, okay, and then you're inaugurated on the 20th. These are the dates that matter. However, YouTube's saying, no, it's settled. Safe harbor. We passed safe harbor. It's settled. Safe harbor. Passed safe harbor. Of course, what they haven't mentioned is Texas is suing 4 of the swing states, and that case is on the docket of the Supreme Court. Will they hear it? I don't know, but safe harbor made it through. We don't know. It's day by day. We still don't know. Okay? Everybody telling you that they do know. YouTube's like, no, this is not. The election's over. You know, everybody's telling you COVID is doing this. Everybody's like, no, there's dead people everywhere. The hospitals are being overwhelmed. They're like, no, they're not. The 90% hospital surge capacity is what'll happen. It's like, it didn't happen last time. Why would it happen this time? The waves get subsequently smaller, right? Or do they? We don't know. Is it a novel virus? I don't know. Can we get some cameras in the hospitals to see? Doesn't look like. I mean, that's what you told us last time. They're all going to overflow and whatever, and they didn't. 2 million people dead. Best case scenario. We're like at a little, over a tenth of that. So can we be like, whoops? Can we be like, okay, we're wrong. We could open up. We could probably non-vulnerables can get out. Maybe we can actually look at what Florida did, which is protect their elderly population, because they do have a high elderly population like Japan. And similarly, Florida and Japan did kind of do the same thing of protecting their elderly, yet letting everybody who is fine out, letting them do their thing. All right, not crashing the economy, letting Disney World open. Yeah, you can wear a mask, fine. Wear a mask, but just you don't have to shut it down. Okay? Maybe the metric to look at was right. Maybe the governor is right in looking at the metric, not sensationalizing it and taking all previous case counts and adding it to the case total. Maybe that's alarming. And instead, you should look at the change from day to day. That does make sense to me. Well, Is this funny? All right. I'm trying to make. Listen, comedy's dead. Comedy's over for now. It's resting. It's on a ventilator. Okay, ventilator's no good. But a lot of the venues where comedy would exist in they're all being crushed. Outdoors is an abomination. That's not real comedy. It's not real. Okay, it's something else. Something else is being born out of this, but that's not a real thing. So, anyways, this is the best I got right now. I was just speaking into this microphone, entertaining the 10 of you who listen regularly, entertaining the 10 more that accidentally listened to this and hopefully have made it to this far, to this point. And if you have, thank you so much. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram, even though I'm being shadow banned. Am I? I don't know. I don't know. Who cares? Follow me on that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is just this on YouTube. Maybe I should do more stuff. Maybe I should make more things. Maybe I'll do more things. I don't know. I'm on Spotify. Everything has to be on camera, and you got to be on camera, and everybody has to be acting, and everybody has to be. I'm sick of it. I want to say dangerous things off camera so that I could just say I have less of a chance of getting in trouble. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to get. Maybe that's not the right thing. I should get in trouble. That's the move. That's how you get. If I have anything's taught me anything in the past 6 years or 4 years, you gotta piss people off. Piss them off. Be infamous. All right. That's in the 46, 48. Laws of power. All right. Anyways, thank you so much again for listening. Follow me everywhere.